Greetings, BC Boom. It's yours truly, Ondrei, here with you on the channel designed with you in mind. Today we're starting a new series entitled Never Give Up. We are in a place in the world today where many are struggling with challenges, wanting to overcome difficulties, whether those challenges are in health, finances, sometimes relationships. Could be something educational or a job. Wherever it is, challenges are there. We go through challenging moments in this life. As we begin our series today, Never Give Up, I want to encourage you that although challenging situations happen, David said in the Bible, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Now that may be more related to something of devastation. However, sometimes we're a little sad about challenging situations. We're frustrated. We pray and it seems like the answers don't appear, or they're very slow to arrive, if they ever arrive. I read a book where it says in one chapter, good management of bad experiences leads to great growth. We're going to talk about the topic of resilience today. And we're going to talk about that topic throughout this time of never giving up. Resilience. I'm going to read to you. Resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. We could all use that capacity. We could all use that ability to recover quickly. Our ministry partner, Ben, is going to come before you now. And I'd like for you, in whatever way you choose, to take notes, either on your iPad or tablet, your phone, old-fashioned pen and paper, or guess what? In today's technological environment, we could always rewind this particular program and listen all over again. Whichever way you choose, I want to encourage you to do that. I'm very excited about the content that's going to be shared with you today. I, even as a facilitator, have benefited greatly from preparation of today's assignment, and I know you will. I know you will. I'll be back with you shortly after our ministry partner Ben shares some things with you and take a deeper dive into the subject of never giving up and developing resilience. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ben, and I'm glad you're here, wherever it is that you are. And we are starting a new series called Never Give Up. Now, before we start this series, I'm going to ask you a quick question. Who out there loves sports? Let me see your hand. Yep, I see your hand. Yep, oh, I see you right there. Now, I happen to love sports. Some of you may hate sports. Some of you may love it. But man, it's great watching a game, watching your team win, eating snacks. But my favorite thing about sports are the stories. Like some of the most incredible, most amazing, most unbelievable stories come from the world of sports. Now, these stories tend to stick with us, like whether we're into sports or not, because they hit us deep in our feels, people. Like it happens when a gymnast lands that difficult move to win the gold medal, when the player who almost got cut from the team scores the winning goal, when the marathon runner who came back from a devastating injury crosses the finish line, when that team that nobody thought would ever win a game takes home the championship. Look, it's amazing. Now, what do all of these stories have in common? Well, it's one thing, resilience. Now, when I say resilience, what I mean is the ability to keep going, even when things are difficult, showing up to face the difficult things in life rather than running away, knowing you're gonna be okay even when things don't turn out the way you hoped, choosing to never give up, choosing to find a reason to keep going and growing stronger after you have struggled, after you have failed, after you have faced difficult things in your life. That's resilience. And that's exactly what we'll be talking about together over the next few weeks. Now, to start, let's be really honest, shall we? As we talk about resilience and getting through the really difficult stuff of life, some of you are thinking, but look, bro, you don't know what I'm going through. And that may be true, because there are some of you who are going through really, really difficult things. And some of you, maybe nobody else knows about it, or maybe people do, but you feel like completely alone in what you're facing right now. Either way, I don't want to, and I'm not going to downplay the pain you might be feeling. When we talk about resilience, we aren't saying that your pain or difficulty is something that you can just get over. We're saying resilience is about facing that feeling of wanting to stop showing up and stop trying and stop fighting and learning to get through it to the other side. But if you've ever felt like giving up, I get it. I've been there. I remember being in high school and I was taking some AP classes. These are like classes that were more advanced, and I was terrible. Like, I'm surrounded by people who are just brilliant, and I'm all of a sudden feeling like I have less and less intelligence. And I started struggling with a few classes, and I got to a point where I wanted to give up. And in some of those classes, I did give up, and eventually I did fail. And I got to a point where I thought, man, maybe high school just isn't for me. There are people out there who have jobs, they're doing just fine, and they didn't get a high school education. Maybe if I can bypass my mom, trying to end my life, quitting high school might just be a good thing for me. See, we've all been there, right? We've all been in a situation where things were really difficult. And when that has happened, maybe you've thought, it shouldn't be this way. Nothing can shake up your world more than pain. In the middle of it, the thing that we maybe want most of all is just for the pain to end. Resilience is the furthest thing from our minds. We just want normal. The problem is, a lot of the time, returning to normal, it's out of our hands. It's out of our control. We can't make the difficult stuff stop. We can't make the challenges go away. So what do? How do we keep going in the midst of challenges when in the middle of them, the idea to keep going is the last thing in the world we want to do? Well, thousands of years ago, this guy named Paul, he had plenty of reasons to want to give up. See, Paul started out as a not so great guy. To put it lightly, he treated people pretty terribly, especially people who believed in and followed Jesus. But then one day, this guy Paul meets Jesus for himself. And just like that, everything changed about his life. Paul had heard of Jesus, but once he really got to know who Jesus was, that is when everything changed for him. And all of a sudden, Paul wasn't just like being nice to Christians. He was actually following Jesus. He was spreading Jesus' message around the world. He was a leader in the early days of Christianity, helping start so many churches and change so many lives for the better. These are lives that he tried to endanger before. You'd think that life got really great for Paul from that point on, right? Like, he's following Jesus now. He had found his life's purpose. He had done a complete turnaround from who he used to be. And he was all of a sudden a leader in the church. Like, man, this all sounds great. This is a happy ending. Except it wasn't. In a letter written to one of the churches Paul started, he detailed all the trouble he dealt with since deciding to follow Jesus. Just take a look at this list. I have been put in prison more often, been whipped times without number, and faced death again and again. 5 different times, the Jewish leaders gave me 39 lashes. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. Once I spent a whole night and day adrift at sea. I have traveled on many long journeys. I have faced danger from rivers and from robbers. I have faced danger from my own people, the Jews, as well as from the Gentiles. I have faced danger in the cities, in the deserts, and on the seas. And I have faced danger from men who claim to be believers but are not. I have worked hard and long, enduring many sleepless nights. I have been hungry and thirsty and have often gone without food. I have shivered in the cold without enough clothing to keep me warm. Wow. In case you didn't catch all of that, prison, whipped, faced death, lashes, beaten with rods, stoned as in hit with rocks, okay, shipwrecked, adrift at sea, danger after danger, hungry and thirsty, cold, intense, right? That is just a list right there. And this is the guy who wrote almost half of the New Testament in the Bible. The guy who had every reason to believe the good stuff he did would equal an incredible life with no pain and no difficulty. and no heartache was also the guy who faced more difficulty and trouble and pain than any of us could ever imagine. But here is what I think is so important to note. Paul had every reason to give up, but instead, Paul kept going. Paul had every reason to ditch God because life got harder for him when he started following God, but he didn't quit. Take a look at what he wrote to another one of the churches that he served. He said, "No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us." The it that Paul was referring to is the idea of knowing Jesus fully. See, the moment Paul met Jesus, his views of what is important in life, man, they shifted drastically. The way he saw the world, the way he saw other people, man, that changed dramatically. He knew there was something bigger than his difficulty and his pain, and it all had to do with following Jesus. Because here's what Paul knew. Knowing Jesus changes everything. And that includes the way we face the hard, difficult, unfair stuff in this life. How does it change everything? Because we remember that Jesus himself faced mistreatment, challenges, pain, and yes, death. God's own son wasn't spared from the worst that this world has to offer. He was killed because of it. But after being put to death, Jesus came back to life, which means he beat death. He defeated death. He overpowered it. And that, my friends, that changed everything. Because now you and I know, we know that God is bigger than the worst thing that can happen to us. We know that God is working even in the most difficult times of our lives. We know that one day God is going to make it all right. And knowing that makes having resilience possible. Now, look back at what Paul said just after that. He said, "Forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead, I press on." Forgetting the way he used to live his life, forgetting the difficulties that could keep him from going after this new way of life with purpose. Paul had one goal in mind, and that was knowing Jesus more. No matter what he walked through, no matter what knocked him down, Paul kept his focus on knowing Jesus more through it. See, keeping our focus on Jesus, it helps us find the resilience that we need to keep going. When we get knocked down, we're better able to find a reason to get back up and a reason to keep going when we trust that God is with us, God is working for us, even in the most difficult things we face. See, the idea of resilience, man, it can feel kind of overwhelming, or maybe kind of weird depending on where we currently are in life. Some of us might feel overwhelmed by the idea of getting back up while we're in the middle of whatever we're facing in life right this moment. And others of us might feel like this is helpful for someday down the road, but we can't really relate to all of this right now. And the truth is, this topic is so important that kids tend to be taught about it even at a young age. In fact, maybe you were taught this without even realizing it when you were a kid. Okay, you may not have had like this exact toy when you were a kid, but chances are you either had something like it or you knew someone who did. I had one of those inflatable ones in the yard that you could knock it over and it would come back up, okay? But this is just a cute little raccoon right here. Hello, governor. You know, he's got a little British accent. Okay, but just hang with me. This kid's toy has taught us a big lesson we were just beginning to understand at the time, but can definitely grasp more deeply now. This simple toy is a great example of what we're talking about when it comes to this whole idea of resilience. Building resilience means we become a little more like this toy, okay? Yep, you see that? It helps us get back up when setbacks in our life try to knock us down. I can try to where he's turned around, I can try to knock him down this way, or that way. Now he's looking at me and that's a little strange, but no matter what I do to try to knock this thing down, yep, always gets back up. Building resilience means that you and I, believe it or not, we become a little more like this toy, okay? That we can get knocked down. It helps us get back up when setbacks in our life try to knock us down. Resilience helps us never give up. See, he's never giving up. And the hope we have in Jesus helps us develop that resilience. Okay, we got that out of there. Got it. Now, listen. When Jesus was alive on earth, he said something to his followers that I think can help us understand this even better. So take a look at what he said. He said, "I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Now, did you see that? Jesus didn't say we might have trouble. He didn't say there was a possibility. He said that trouble, yep, it's a guarantee in this life. But he also said that you and I could take heart. We could have hope because Jesus had already beaten every trouble we'll ever face. Look, that's amazing news because it means we don't have to give up. It means we can bounce back. We can have real resilience in the face of anything that life throws our way because the Spirit of Jesus is with us. Resilience, it helps us never give up. Resilience is the ability to choose hope and to move forward from a setback. I know this is possible. I know that we all have it in us to bounce back, to keep fighting for what's possible. I know that with Jesus, resilience is possible for all of us, and I know because I've experienced it myself. Now, remember when I was talking at the beginning about me in school, taking these classes that were very difficult? Turns out I failed a few of those classes. Turns out I was thinking about maybe I'm gonna drop out of high school, even though my mama would have killed me. But I just decided, and some of the trouble I put on myself, y'all, because when I started struggling a little bit, I decided to give up. But then I thought, you know what? I want to finish high school, and I feel like there's something in me that can do this. I came back, I took classes that were not advanced classes. I got into classes that were appropriate for me, and I started studying as hard as I could. And I prayed a little bit, and I asked my mama to pray a lot. And eventually, I graduated high school, and I went on to college, and I didn't have a view of myself. I took the label off of myself, some of which that I had given myself, and some of which other people had, that I was not smart and not intelligent. And that really was the Spirit of God working in me and through me, even at a time that I didn't completely understand it and realize it, even through some trouble that I created for myself. At the end, it just taught me resilience. And what resilience teaches us is to never give up. Now, when you find yourself facing a setback that has you ready to give up, whether it's happened to you or you're the one who created it, stop and ask yourself these 3 things. Number 1, what's happening? In other words, identify the situation you're in that's making you want to give up. What's causing the pain, stress, or hardship in your life right now? And that's what I had to say. I had to say, these classes are difficult. School is not easy for me. And what do you wish was different about the situation that you're in? One of the first steps towards building resilience is to be honest with yourself about what you're facing and how you want it to change. Resilience isn't about pretending things aren't hard or ignoring the difficult things in your life. It means facing the difficult things head on. And honesty helps us do that. Number 2, what is true no matter what? When we're facing difficulties of any kind, it's important to focus on what's true. This is what Paul did. Focusing on who Jesus is and what Jesus has done helps us build resilience. So consider what's true no matter what you're facing. That God loves you, God is with you, and God hates the brokenness in this world as much as you do. We remember God gave us Jesus to help us through it. That Jesus has taken on and Jesus has defeated all of our challenges. That with our eyes on Jesus, we can begin to get back up and keep moving forward. We can have resilience. Number 3, what can I do? The truth is, so many of the setbacks we'll face in life will be out of our control, and I faced plenty of those. But that doesn't mean there's nothing we can do to help us dig deeper and find the resilience we need to keep going. In my case in school, I needed to take classes that weren't so difficult, and I needed to get a tutor, and I needed to spend more intentional time studying. It was in my control to a certain extent, but I had to identify some things that I needed to do. But think about what this looks like for you. What's a good first step to help you start practicing resilience? Maybe it's opening up to someone about how you feel, telling someone what's going on in your life. Maybe it's asking for help from a friend, a small group leader, or a counselor. Maybe it's choosing to be kind to yourself in the middle of this, taking better care of yourself, choosing to make wise decisions and not make the situation worse. Whatever it is for you, think about just one thing you can do in the face of difficult things to help you keep going. Now remember, resilience, it helps us never give up. So if you're facing something that you know you need help with, something bigger or more difficult than you know how to handle on your own, I want to encourage you to talk to a parent, to a small group leader, or to an adult that you trust today, because believe it or not, they probably have stories about what they have walked through to build resilience themselves, and it might be really helpful to talk with them about it. See, the adults in your life and in this room, they show up because they want to help you bounce back, or they want to help you choose to move forward. So I want you to consider sharing with them about what you're facing, and do it today. And remember, hey, we do small groups because we believe that's the best place to find the space to talk about things that you need to talk about. And I bet you're just surrounded in your life with people who are going through something that is going to require some resilience building. And one of the things I have found most helpful is talking about it with other people who understand what you're going through or want to build resilience in their lives as well. So I want you to be brave. I want you to bring it up in group today. You just may find out that you aren't the only one walking through what you're walking through. And as you head out, I want you to think about this question. What's one thing I'm going through that is building resilience in me? And I want you to know that whatever you're going through, God is going through it with you.
Thank you, Ben. Welcome back, everyone. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Through every challenging moment, through every situation where I feel like giving up, through every situation, I can do all things through Christ. Resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. As we stated earlier, difficulties, they're here. We've had many. And the older you get, you'll become more acquainted with difficulties. The thing is, don't give up. Don't let giving up be an option. If we remember the scripture, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Philippians 4:13. Let that be your driving scripture. And there's many other scriptures in the Bible to help you be encouraged, to encourage you to move forward in those situations where they're so challenging you feel like giving up. I want to let you know that you have ministry partners waiting to hear from you, to pray with you, to talk to you. That number below, call that number and allow them to talk to you or help you think through or pray with you in that challenging moment. As you build resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, we can all use that capacity to recover quickly. As you build resilience, think about what happened. Think about what happened. What is true? What is true? Sometimes we create additions to the story and it just makes it even more horrible or more difficult or more challenging. Focus on what's true. And then, what can I do? As Ben said, sometimes we can't do everything. Sometimes what we can do is limited. However, limited, but not totally impossible. Find out what you can do. As Ben stated, he had to adjust his classes to take classes that were on his level instead of far above his level. He decided to be resilient. He decided to, as Paul said, press forward for the prize. I encourage you, press forward for the prize. Like and share this message. Many can use the encouragement. Read your Bible, because God has placed in the Bible, in the love letter to us, so many texts and passages to encourage us in moments where we feel things are so overwhelming. I encourage you, read it. And when you just don't know where to go or what to do, as I said before, contact the ministry leaders and let them help guide you in this season. God bless you. I look forward to being back with you soon on the channel designed with you in mind. Until then, go forward, press forward, develop resilience, and never give up.